Okay, everyone, I promise you these little blueberries that I painted in watercolor, and this is the final painting. So it's very loose. It's a very loose painting, but it still took me, I would say, 30 minutes to 40 minutes to paint this. And I'm going to show you the colors which you can use. You can use, for instance, I use ultramarine, and then you can basically use any color like a pink quinacridone rose, quinacridone permanent rose. You can even use alizarin crimson mixed with ultramarine, and then I used a bit of Payne's grey, and that is the mix that I had with the two colors. So I showed you the colors, and then I showed you the greens that I used. And then yes, so that is the beautiful little blueberries that I painted in watercolor, which will be the mini tutorial that we will be painting now very soon. And the beautiful hot weather today, very hot. My little plant, yeah. But yes, I'm gonna show you exactly what to do. Okay, so what I did was I started drawing the first part of these blueberries, and now I'm going to use my little eraser just to neaten up all of the pencil lines. I think I need another little blueberry and maybe some leaves that we want to paint as well. And I bought a little blueberry plant, and this was the little tag that was on there. It's so cute, and I thought it's so ideal and a perfect little mini tutorial. And I overlap the berries like this, and then I just rub out the pencil lines. Now I have a line drawing for you under the line drawings and booklet post in the collections tab. I don't know if it's in the collections tab, I must actually look, but it is there and it is available for everyone. So you can just go, and for paid members, and sometimes for free members I will add it in a different section. But this is the little line drawing that I painted, and then just a quick little outline like this. And then what we're going to do is we are going to overlap this one as well. Easy little lines like that, and then you just rub it out with your pencil eraser, the pencil markings. Quick little lines like this. Doesn't have to be perfect because you will paint all the lines in as we are painting. Now what I'm going to do is I'm rubbing out the pencil markings. I still want to darken it because mine has to be dark because I'm recording the tutorial, but we are going to start mixing the colors very soon. I'm just cleaning up all of those pencil markings, and that's perfect. Very easy to draw. You saw how I drew them. It's very easy to do if you want to draw your own. And this is the new brush. It has it's a 4-in-1 brush. It's got the back where there's a little sharp point where you can paint with, and then it has this rectangle. It's got the flat brush option. You can, as you twist the brush, you have different, if a round brush, you have a flat tip, and you have an angle brush. So it's a very lovely brush to use. Let me see where I've put it. So very interesting brushes that they have here now from Prime Art. And then the mono eraser that I always talk about, that I say that is so lovely to use with a small little eraser tip. So have a look at it if you can find it where you are. They are lovely. So it's going to mix the colors. I'm going to use my Mission Madeira watercolors, and I just want to move it all in a view so that I can show you all of the colors that I'm going to mix in that small little round plate next to me. So this is the ultramarine, and I rinse my brush often because I want clean colors. That is the ultramarine. Clean your brush, and now we're going to go in with a color that is, let's say that is the ultramarine, So the blue, and then we want a color that is like a pink, like a quinacridone permanent rose, quinacridone crimson lake, or a violet. I I decided to go with a bright clear violet and then a Payne's grey mix because I could go in with a rose madder or quinacridone permanent rose, but I just realized that if I go in that, I might have to mix a few more colors to get to that point, and I want to keep it as simple as possible. So there I mixed in a bit too much of that dark neutral color. So I decided to get more ultramarine. It's a bit too dark. You see how easily you can pick up too much color. And then that is the color that I want. So it's quite a dark color. And then I will dilute it until I'm happy with the color. And I want, because you can use a little bit more water to dilute your colors to make it lighter, and you can use a lot less water to make it darker. So you always have to wet your colors in order to paint because it's watercolors. You have to activate your pigment. I'm going to take my brush, there's some pigment on there because I mixed the paint with this brush. I picked it up with this brush, but I'm going to wet this, and I don't mind the little bit of pigment that's underneath there, but this is now going to be wet on wet. There's just a few little hard pieces. I don't know where that come from. Anyway, so I'm going to just drop in that very dark color at near the edge that's touching those two other berries. And I want that to flow into the top part of this berry. Then I'm taking it up. Now it is quite hot, even though I have a jersey on. I would say it is an autumn day, yet it's spring. So I'm just taking the color in and then I'm lifting it out near the side of the berry, like this. Dropping in a bit more color, taking it up to the edge there. And rinsing my brush, you can see I have my tissue paper handy next to me. And then I'm just smoothing it out all over the berry. Want to make sure that I keep those highlights as light as possible. Now this is just a normal mixed media watercolor paper. So it's not our, I would say, expensive watercolor papers, but it is a study and I use these cotton watercolor papers. The mixed media paper is very nice too. You just can't scrub on it for too much, but it's a perfect paper for these little small studies. So now I picked up a bit more blue because I want some of the blue mix in here. Okay, I just zoomed in a bit. So this is the blue mix, and then I have the normal purple violet mix with the blue as well. And someone's flying over with those micro little airplanes. And then I'm just taking it over this section. A little bit more of a darker mix in here. Cleaning my brush, make sure that it's clean, and I'm moving it around because I want a rounded tip. Now I want a very dark section around the outer edge of that top part of the berry. And I also want a much darker section on the inside of that blueberry so that we can show the difference of the two parts, like this. And now I'm going to go out on the outside. Now this is completely dry because you do not want to use your color and, for instance, it's wet and then that color flows everywhere and then you have to lift it out all the time. So just softly like that, and then I take my brush and I just remove the excess hard lines. I don't want all those hard lines there. And quite happy with that. And then just darken these bottom sections again with some more of that darker pigment, because we're looking at the tonal values now. We can't just paint a normal soft blueberry with one color because then it will look flat on your paper. We're adding a little bit more color to create those all rounded effects, and that's what you want. You don't want puddles. You want to move those puddles around and smooth out the watercolor, so let it soak into the paper. I don't mind some of the blue running into that part now because it's all the same color, but I do want a hard line where the berries touch each other so that we can distinguish between the three berries. And now I'm just dropping in that color there. Again, around all the parts there. Now it will flow into each other, that's fine. Don't stress about it. Taking it around this part as well. And use the tip of your brush. You don't have to use this brush. I'm just testing this brush. And I'm going to find another brush at a later stage because I think I'm going to need a smaller brush with a smaller tip. But this is how you can paint with a brush. If you hold it like this, you can get an angle like this, push it around. So every time you turn the brush, it has a different line. It's quite interesting. I'm not sure if it's new. I just saw it for the first time at the art store, and I thought, let me try it. It wasn't expensive at all. I think it's 48 bucks, so not expensive at all. And the way I go through brushes, it's not bad to try this brush. Now you'll see I leave a few highlighted sections as well, and so the pigment will flow and soak into the paper. And I want to leave a light little section around the outer edge there. On the center, you will see to create that little, I would say, section where the dark part of the berry is. And then I just lift out this excess pigment and dab it on the tissue paper so I can get rid of that excess pigment on the brush. Rinse my brush, wipe it again, pick up some pigment. Now we're going to do the next one. Around the outer edge there, we'll paint the inside of that other blueberry now. So it's quite dark, and I'm moving the brush around because I have to find a way to find it easy to paint, because every time you turn the brush, obviously the angle of the brush changes, which is very nice, but it is something to get used to. And I'm just going around the edges here. You see I leave lighter sections open on the berry, and I'm not painting exactly, I don't have real blueberries next to me, so I'm just making this up as I paint. I'm not looking at a reference photo or whatever. I'm just leaving a few little sections out, and then it creates this beautiful blueberry by itself on the paper. Obviously I'm painting it, but just by leaving a few highlighted sections and darker sections, you create this beautiful rounded effect on the blueberries, which I love. It turned out quite nice, and it's a lovely short mini tutorial. Now you can do this, you can absolutely paint this often just to practice your tonal values, especially if you're a beginner in watercolors. And I'm not adding a lot of detail because I want to keep it easy and simple for beginners, especially for beginners. So that's why it is so quick, and it's loose, and it's fun. I picked up a much smaller little brush now. This is literally a 0 Escoda brush that I had for years already, and I want something with a very, very fine tip. So I'm using this brush because I can get into those fine, tiny little details. I want to leave those light white parts that you can see right around the black section that I'm painting now. I want to leave it in there, because that will create those little markings that we can see around a blueberry, the top part that makes a blueberry. So again, a very dark mix of this black, blue, purple mix. And you see I leave a highlighted section around that part. So I'm going to go in very dark, and I'm going to leave that to dry because it's too wet to do anything on that now. Now I'm going in on this section too. Now on the line drawing, I painted quite a few, I drew quite a few blueberries for you. So paint them all, have fun, practice them, because they are very easy to paint, and they are crucial in painting and learning about tonal values that will help you to create that rounded 3D effect on anything that you paint. These little fruit and veggie tutorials that we paint are crucial for tonal values. I'm not just painting it because I like it, because I do like it too, but they will teach you a lot about your tonal values, how to go darker, why are you going darker, why must I go darker around the edges there right now? Well, look what it's doing. It is actually pushing the white part of that section that I left open forward. It makes it stand out, and that is why we are doing this. Okay, so now I think we're going to leave this to dry completely, and we're going to start with the green leaf part of this little blueberries. And I'm going to keep it very loose as well. As you can see on the reference photo, I'm not going to paint too much detail because we're painting a loose little blueberry tutorial. And just for fun, you know, no stress about it, just easy little leaves. Okay, let me just zoom out a second so that you can see how I mix all of the colors. So this is I would say use a color that is like a yellow green. If you do have sub green, just use some of your sub green, mix with that. And you can also use a little bit more yellow if you want to do the first layer like I did, because I want the first yellow layer to shine through. And I'm going to go in with a darker green as well. So this would be, you can use your, again, sub green alone, and just drop that in there. This is the colors from Mission Magenta Watercolors, and you can see how beautiful and bright these colors are. So beautiful. And then I just drop in the colors with my brush and then pull it towards the center. And then I want to lift out some of the excess. I don't want it to be too dark. And now I'm going to take a darker green, so something that's a bit more concentrated. So go in with I think this is the Van Dyke green. So you can use, maybe drop a drop of Payne's grey or some of your black that you have on your palette, just with the green, just to make it a bit more darker. And you'll see that I'm going to lift it out later on again. I don't want it dark. I'm just letting it soak into the paper because I want it to stain the paper. And then I'm going to lift out the excess colors. Didn't just wet that section. Now I'm taking the brush at an angle and I'm lifting out the excess because I want to paint those little veins, or I want to make sure the veins stand out. I'm not painting them right now. I might go back darker with a darker mix later, but I just want to lift out some of that green. And then we are going to, let me just move it around. So just look at that, how you can create a nice tip with a brush. You just swirl it like a normal brush just to get the hairs all together again. So much darker green right on the edge there, touching the berries. And then I'm going to go in with a much darker line of green in the center, and then the little veins. They're not exactly, we're not focusing on a botanical blueberry painting here. We're painting a loose berry, and it's for fun. So it's not exact. And then smooth it out. Lift out some of the excess. And now I picked up a much smaller brush. So I would say use a zero. This is a zero brush from Kum Memory Point Brushes. And I just want to darken the center again. So this is now nearly dry. It's still a bit wet. And you can see the pigment flows a bit more. But it's not too wet because then the pigment will just flow absolutely everywhere. And then I'm just painting in those little lines. I want to just adjust those a bit, just like that. And then I'm going to take my brush and just soften those little markings a little bit. Just like that. And on that side too, a bit of a darker color there, just mix it in here and there like this. Now you can paint this without the leaves. You don't have to draw in the leaves, okay? You don't have to draw it in at all. So it's up to you. If you just want to paint the berries, that's fine too. And then I'm just smoothing it out again with my brush, lifting it out, fixing it a bit, and I'm quite happy with it. It's loose, it's rough, it's a loose painting. It's a fun study. That is what it is. And you don't always have to be scared just painting something quick. I like to paint detailed paintings, but I also like to paint loose paintings, yet they are still slightly detailed but a lot looser. And that is fun just for weekends when you don't feel like painting too stressful tutorials and too stressful paintings. So this is a fun tutorial. I hope you had fun. I'm now just going on the outer edges with the brush, just a fine little green yellow line. It's that light yellow green line, just to let that section stand out. So it's that yellow part that you can see around the leaves. Now, I did buy this blueberry tree. It died when I brought it home, or sort of died. All the leaves fell off, all the little blueberries fell off. But what I did was I just moved it somewhere else where it's a little bit cooler, and it seems to be doing well now. I will keep you up to date with it. I hope we're going to have more blueberries. I would love to eat blueberries. Now, if you do find blueberries and you put them in the freezer and you buy yogurt, you pop them, the frozen berries, in your yogurt. You let it stand for a section, a few seconds. It makes the most amazing frozen yogurt pieces. It is frozen solid. It's so delicious. These frozen berries actually freeze the yogurt and it makes it so nice. So try it. Anyway, my friends, here is your loose blueberry tutorial. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me. I hope you're going to paint this, and I can honestly highly recommend these Mission Magella watercolors. I love them. I don't know if you will like them, but I absolutely love them. They are beautiful, bright colors. They are very fun colors. I love the transparency, and I'm not sponsored by them at all, but it's gorgeous. Here are the little blueberries, the papers, the mess that I made, but it was fun.